we were talking about formative construct and reflective construct, and as far as our cup of tea is the reflective kind of construct, where all the indicators would be correlated to each other and all the dimensions of a construct would be reflecting on one thing, right? They will be representing a particular dimension, a particular domain. So we'll continue with the kind of reflective construct, and for that we need to check reliability and we need to check validity. Now what is this reliability and validity? Let me come in between so that you can see these circles. These circles is representing the lines. You remember the first slide where we were talking about measurement error? So we had a dark line, that was the construct, and we had a dot line, which was our perception that okay, we are presuming the reality. So this inner circle, this red inner circle is the actual reality, right? And our duty is as a scholar to capture it. How are we gonna capture it? So we have indicators, one indicator, two indicator, three indicator, four indicator in this first A circle. Now this is our target and we are shooting here first, second, third, fourth. So am I a good shooter? You can see I'm not a good shooter because my target is this and I fall here, here, here and here. So I am not reliable and my shooting is not valid too. You can see here everybody, right? I am not so reliable and I am not so valid because see the difference between 1, 2, 3, 4 quite good, and I am away. All these you can see dots, black dots are away from this main circle, red circle. So it's not valid, it's not reliable. Now comes to B point. This one is the B to right side, upper corner. Here you can see they are very close to first circle. Earlier they were away. Now they are very close to the circle, right? So they all are valid but still not reliable. Why they are not reliable? Because they are very close to the domain, right? They are very close to the domain, but they are capturing different dimension. One dimension here, this dimension here, this dimension here, this dimension here. So again, this is the problematic. Now comes here, they are very close, talking about a particular dimension, but actually not very close to capture the main construct. This is the problem, right? And here you can see, so it is valid because they are capturing a particular point, but not reliable because they are a bit far away from the construct. And here they all are close and they are reflecting on the main construct. So they are valid and they are reliable too. So this is validity and reliability. These all are your indicators. Black dots are your indicators. The inner circle, red circle is your construct. So if I have one indicator to measure the motivation and this one is the motivation inner circle, that means that I am capturing one dimension which is here of motivation, one dimension which is here of motivation, one dimension which is here of motivation, one dimension of here is of a motivation. So different dimension I am covering. What we need to do in our formative one, in reflective one, these these black dots or the indicators should reflect on a particular dimension of the motivation, not all different kind of motivation, right? Here what they are doing, they are very close the difference between the dot line and the dark line is very close, right? So they are valid because they are very close to it to capture the inner circle, red circle, but not reliable. Why they are not reliable? Because still they are capturing the different dimension. It is capturing this, this is capturing this, this is capturing this, this is capturing this. Here they are very close. They are reliable because they are together capturing a particular dimension, but not valid because still they are far away from this. So this is a reliability and a validity. Reliability and validity in simple manner you can understand that if you want to see that whatever indicators, whatever questions, whatever measurement, whatever scale you have, is it really capturing the main construct, right? So you design and develop questionnaire for what? Your main goal is that actually you are ready to capture, you want to capture the construct here is motivation, intelligence, etc., right? Is it capturing that? How do you know that it is capturing? When they are very close, right? Their correlation is very high. When their correlation is very high, they are correlated with each other, that means they are capturing a particular thing. And correlation between indicator and together the latent construct, if it is very close, very high, that means they are valid too. So let us move further. Reliability, let us see reliability. Measure of internal consistency and whether items or test of a measure capture or measure a common cause. So your work would be reliable, your questionnaire or measurement or scale would be reliable when all the items, all the questions, all the indicators, they are consistent, they are internally very close, they have a good correlation and they are capturing a particular dimension. When they will be a close, they would be correlated to each other. What would be they doing? They would be capturing a particular dimension. It's not like that formative one, whether on the one side you are talking about education, on the other hand you are talking about happiness, third you are talking about education, then health, then income, right? So it's not like that. So in that you are covering different dimensions. So that is not our cup of tea now. Most common indicator of reliability is called Cronbach alpha. So what you need to do, you need to capture the Cronbach alpha, and if you are having this Cronbach alpha value more than 0.8, you can start dancing, or you feel, oh my god, I did a good job, my all scale, my measurement is perfect, because the Cronbach alpha has this value. It is indicating that all the items, all the questions are consistent to each other. They have good consistency. Internally, they are consistent with each other. There is a good correlation. And items, whatever questions you have, they are actually capturing the one particular domain, right? So let us move further. I hope things are clear to you. I request you please note down all the questions. Assumption for Cronbach alpha. First, unidimensional construct only. What you need to do, because generally what we do, we cannot capture different dimensions, right? You need to focus on a particular dimension. So suppose you have taken one or two more dimension in your research, please check Cronbach alpha for each and every dimension, All items have loading. That means we are talking about the main construct, latent construct, and the items, and correlation between that. That is called loading. Loading means correlation between items and construct. Okay, it's clear there. All errors are independent. You might have seen that reflective one. Error represent one error to indicator 1. Second error represent linked with the indicator 2. They are not correlated. But in formative one, that error were also correlated to each other. So this is the basic assumptions of Cronbach alpha. Can you calculate Cronbach alpha with your hand? Right? With some formula? I believe yes. Have you seen this kind of correlation table? You can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of items and see the correlation. Good with good would always be 1. Interesting with interesting would always be 1. Exciting with exciting would always be 1. Useful with useful it would remain 1. Right? So you can take either the this diagonal upper side or lower side items 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So what we need to do, guys, this is the formula, capital N. So how many variables we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So capital N is 4. And coefficient 1, 2, 3, 4, you can see R bar. So this is 0.921. Here we have 0.922. 0.946. Here we have 0.946. 0.842, 0.873 we have taken, 0.70 we have taken, 0.71, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Above diagonal or below diagonal you can take value. These will remain same. Right? So here, so we have the R bar. So R bar is divided by 6 because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when you calculate it, you get this value. Sorry. And R bar put here in this formula, and capital N you have 4. Now you can calculate the Cronbach alpha with your pen and pencil and your notebook. It's very easy. You can see here everybody. You can see here the Cronbach alpha value, right? So it's very easy to calculate. And what is it showing? It is showing that actually you are capturing a particular dimension, and the question you have developed, these all are consistent, they all are good, and they are actually capturing a particular dimension, and they are very strong indicators, and the questions are very strong. They are correlated, highly correlated to each other, right? Now this is a one example of reflective. You can see you wanted to have one more example. So here is another example of reflective construct. You want to know the perception of students, those who are in online classes now. So comfort level will reflect on perception. Student learning outcome will reflect on perception. What is your perception as a student, right? So how do you feel that, okay, delivering an academic task, you ask a student what is your perception? Do you think lectures are possible, case studies are possible? Do you feel as a student it's equivalent to traditional, and you really advocate for online teaching, you really love online teaching? Are you comfortable level? You can see comfortable with this, or you feel that or instant student, you can ask a teacher, are you comfortable with implementing this online teaching? You feel yourself considered qualified that yeah, I can teach online, I have that voice, I have that software, I know I have internet, I know how to use it. And then you feel that okay, student, they would be comfortable with this, and it's equivalent to traditional teaching, and I feel I recommend to student to go for online, and I recommend teachers, other teacher also, they should go for online teaching. Lecture and case study is easy when I teach. So this is kind of reflective construct where we are taking teacher opinion towards, or their perception towards online teaching, right? This could be a one example of reflective one, where actually these one indicator, these second indicator, this third indicator, right, these all items, indicators, are reflecting on perception. They all are perception, actually measuring perception. Here you can see socio-economic development, socio-economic status. On the side one, income, education, medical, there could be other also. So here income is different, education dimension is different, medical is different, variable is different. So when you have a different variable and you club them together to make a particular construct, that is called formative one, right? So here you can see how we make this items, and here we have one domain. How we make items of that domain, here you can see the whole, this one is one particular construct. This whole circle is one particular construct. It has this 1 2 3 4 5 6 dimension, but actually together they are capturing, they are reflecting on the main domain, right? Domain is PNI. Now here sorry, each these subdomain of or the subdimension of the construct, enjoyment of numbers, satisfaction with numbers, importance of numbers, uses of number, linking of number, interest in number, right? So what we did actually, you remember in the first where we have a dot line and a dark line slide, we said that we are actually operationalizing the construct. So this is what we are operationalizing the construct. So here we have a construct PNI. How do we operationalize it? We have this domain of PNI, and in this we want to see different items. So items we have n1, n2, n3, n4 representing what? Enjoyment of number. Similarly, n1 is representing employment of number, n2 here it's representing satisfaction with numbers, n3 representing this particular area, linking of numbers, n4 representing linking of numbers, n5 representing interest in numbers, n6 representing importance of number, n7 representing uses of number, n8 representing something which is missing here, and 9 something which is here. So we have the whole particular construct and having these different dimensions, or right? So here you can see this domain of PI we need to capture with this. And when we have this is in qualitative terms, but when we have this 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, these all indicators, these all questions will help us to operationalize our constructs. So here we have developed generated items from the variables or from these dimensions, right? So this is another example of reflective one. The first latent, this latent one is called second order factor. This dimension is called first order, and these items are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. This one you remember, formative one. Instead of going from this side to this, here you can see from these different dimensions we make quotients, and with quotients we make this main construct. So this is the formative one. There is another example. Here you can see, what do you mean by unidimension? Leadership. You want to have one construct which is called leadership, and here we have three subdimensions of a leader. This empowerment, this TO2, and this LEX. These three dimensions which reflecting on leadership. And then further we have item 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3. At least you see three items in each and every subdimension of this construct. What is unidimension? This particular dimension we need to calculate 1 2 3 items, its reliability, Cronbach alpha, then Cronbach alpha of this second one, then Cronbach alpha of this third one, and finally we sometimes calculate combined alpha also, right? Cronbach alpha. So what is unidimensional? This one unidimensional, this second unidimensional, this third unidimensional. This is second order, this is first order, and these are items. I hope now you get this. Now we comes to factor analysis. I'm just giving you some kind of understanding that okay, we have this kind of construct, which kind of construct you should need to construct. Now you understand that, how to operationalize it, why we need to operationalize it, that we have discussed. Now how to check reliability? With Cronbach alpha we can check the reliability, that we have discussed today. Now other very important thing which we need to discuss. I hope you understand. Okay. um, that once you have developed a questionnaire or a scale or a measurement, then what you need to do, you need to check the reliability of that with the Cronbach alpha. Now, is Cronbach alpha sufficient to check the reliability, or we should go ahead? So for that, we have two kinds of analysis which we call factor analysis. The main emphasis of factor analysis would be to check your scale, to check your measurement, to check reliability and validity of your questionnaire, right? So there are some few goals of factor analysis. First goal is that to see the parsimony represent score on a large set of measures. So basically, what do you mean by parsimony? We are, observing lot of big data, big things, right? And with the small observation, for example, one average, we are predicting something big, and that big, for example, we take sample, and what we do, we are talking about population. We are saying on the basis of a sample, population will also have similar kind of behavior. So this factor analysis help us to represent with these small things, represent with small score, represent a large number of measurement, that whatever we are telling, it is also applicable or relevant to the whole population or to the other society, other community. So you can generalize it. And also, whatever question you have, whatever questionnaire you have, is it going to reflect on a particular construct only, or a particular variable only, particular domain only, or it is covering a different domain, different constructs. So our duty would be, if you are taking one construct, you focus on one construct only, not on different constructs. So factor analysis help us in these two things, that on the basis of some value, it reflect, yes, it's representing this, and the data, they have some kind of relationship which we call correlation. And second, that this construct is actually this construct which we want to measure, and we are not talking about any other construct. Here you can see where we use exploratory factor analysis and where we use confirmative factor analysis. Before I discuss that, let me tell you very important thing. If you, as I mentioned, that in most of the cases, we take such kind of questionnaire, such kind of measurement, such kind of scale, which already has been designed and developed by someone else. People in other country, they have taken that, they have used it, they have tested it, and they have worked upon that particular questionnaire, scale or measurement. The same already designed, developed, tested questionnaire I am using, right? So in that case, you are not supposed to go for EFA, exploratory factor analysis. You are not need to go for that. What you need to do, you need to check confirmative factor analysis in that case, right? Now, suppose you got a courage, you are daring enough to take a risk, right? Or you feel, I'm smart, I should go ahead and I should create my own questionnaire, right? In that case, you have to go for EFA, exploratory factor analysis. Why you should go? Here you can see in CFA items 1, 2, 3. These 3 items reflecting this first, these last 3 items reflecting N. So it's clear that this particular indicators are reflecting on this. These 3 indicators are reflecting on this. But here on the left side, when you talk about exploratory, you never know which indicator is representing which particular domain or dimension or a construct or a variable. You are not clear about it. make it sure that whatever questions, whatever items you have selected, it is capturing which particular variable, which particular dimension, which particular domain, which particular construct, right? To make it clear, we need to go for exploratory factor analysis. CFA is a bit tough because here process is rigorous. Lot of times you have to repeat again and you have to go for 3 or 4 steps. But as far as exploratory factor analysis is concerned, it's not so rigorous as far as statistical tools are concerned. But preparatory work is too much in exploratory. So when you wish to design your own questionnaire, what you need to do? You have to do a lot of preliminary work. First, listen carefully. If you want to make your own question, it would be another kind of thesis, I'm telling you, because here you're gonna create something, and creating something, not testing something, because generally what we do, we have already a lot of things and we test hypothesis. Here you are not testing hypothesis, you are designing, developing some new things. When you design something new, I mean, you're not sure what we need to do, so you need to put a lot of effort. So listen carefully. First thing, you need to justify why you are going for new scale. So for that, what you gonna do? So first caveat, you need to justify why you are creating a new questionnaire. So I hope things are clear to all of you, that why we need to go for new scale. You cannot say that I felt that we need a new scale, we need a new domain, it's not so relevant. What you need to do, you need to check review of literature, and somewhere somebody would have mentioned that this is missing, this is not so relevant, this is not working in this particular dimension or domain, there is a need of a new particular scale or measurement, or as per the study, last 5-10 years study, the result is not so relevant because of the questionnaire. So that would be the first thing which you need to understand, which will actually justify the reason you are going for another kind of or your own kind of scale development. Second thing, now you know that to capture a particular domain, you need to have at least 500 questions in starting. Now just think of 500 questions. Between 450 to 500 questions you must have. And that question will come from where? You need to have focus group discussion. You need to have group discussion. Invite people, invite expert to have discussion. And then they will give you some kind of clue, some kind of idea, that, and then you need to observe, then you need to figure out that okay, these may be the different kind of questions which may actually the cover or measure the construct. Now what do you need to do? Third step, out of 500, you take and show these 500 questions again to the expert, those who are in the area of that particular domain and research. Tell them that these are the 500 questions. Can you remove those questions which you feel might not be so relevant? So they will remove questions. Now you will have 100 questions with you, or 120, 150 questions with you. So you should have between 80 to 150 questions from 500 questions. Now the next point, you need to collect at least for that 120 or 150 questions response from the people. Now you make a survey now and collect data, and that data should be again 500, because we have talked about 300 and 500. So collect the opinion from 500. Then you need to go for exploratory factor analysis, and before that Cronbach alpha, then exploratory factor analysis. And exploratory factor analysis will help you to define that which indicator, which item is representing which particular dimension. So then make, for example, finally you have 60 or 40, between 40 to 60 questions, and these 40 to 60 questions will be having like we discuss, this particular, let me show you this, this one. So now you can see one dimension, subdimension, second subdimension, third subdimension, fourth subdimension, five subdimension, six subdimension. These 5, 6, 7 dimension will occur on the basis of your CFA, right? So believe me, it would be another kind of PhD, or it would be a big research, because now you're sure that because of some justification you have taken this chance, you have taken this risk to develop and design another kind of questionnaire, and you have group discussion, then you have focus group discussion, then you had 500 questions, reduce it up to 130 or 120 questions, then again went to people to collect 500 people response, then use Cronbach alpha, then finally you use the exploratory factor analysis, and with the help of exploratory factor analysis you created the main or sub-dimension of the questionnaire, and together they are capturing what? They are capturing a particular construct. So it's not an easy job. So I hope conceptually you are getting what I am talking about. If you go for new, you cannot jump directly and go for CFA, right, before you go for exploratory factor analysis. So those who are using existing, tested, valid or reliable questionnaire which have been used by many, so you say that I don't need to go, so then there is no need to go for EFA. You directly jump and go for CFA. Why you need to go for CFA? Because now whatever you will do, because this is also a reliability validity, now it would not be a reliability of validity of questionnaire, but reliability validity of your data, right? So here we have, you can see EFA versus CFA. Last, I know it's very difficult to continue. I know you have good patience. You all are good scholar. You are listening whatever we are discussing for last 3 or 4 days. So we have exploratory and conformity. You can see here, everybody. And exploratory determines the number of factors, how many factor variables, items, determine whether factors are correlated or not, variable free to load whenever, and it's a theory generating, right? You develop a theory, you develop a construct. Conformity, on the other hand, confirm the prior factors, already designed developed factors, you confirm. See the correlation among factors at a priori and priori variable loading that is already there, and this is testing the theory. Here you are developing the theory, and you would be needed at least 1 week to understand from Cronbach alpha up to the last point of discriminatory analysis and other analysis of CFA, because process is rigorous, right? So for that we would be needed another workshop, another FIP. So this is little bit, I thought, before you go for your research, you start your research, you need to know what is reflective, what is formative, what dimension, what items, what correlation you need to see, and finally which factor analysis, exploratory factor analysis or confirmatory factor analysis you should go for, right? And now thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much for your patience. You have been all very, very attentive. You are listening carefully, but now this is a time to ask questions, because if you don't ask questions, it gives me some kind of understanding that you are not understanding what message I want to convey to you, right? And again, for more information, you can call me, you can send me your email, and I am on this YouTube, you can subscribe it, and I have see other lectures also. So thank you very much for joining today. Thank you very much for your patience, and we'll continue tomorrow with new session. So